Guy will want you to speak in a certain pattern. Like, he'll go, now, I don't think that's how he wants you to speak. That's just how he's explaining it. But a lot of people have fallen foul of that pattern. If you can hear what he's trying to ask you, he's really, really good fun to work with.
But you're just too skinny. Like, what's with the physique? And he started bringing this up time and time again. Finally, Guy brought up this sort of fear about my physicality one more time. And I said, listen, pal, if you're that worried about it, let's just call this audition off. And you can bring those other jokers in here, and we'll fight. And whoever walks out of the room gets the role. And there was a moment where he went, I like you. All right, read the scene again. And so I think that's sort of the moment that I got the role.
He was the one who sort of took me under his arm and sort of gave me a crash course in what to do, in film acting on camera. I remember the early days, he gave me so much information about what to do and what not to do. And it just stuck with me. I carried it, along with me in my pursuit of a career, and it seemed to work. So I'm ever grateful for the man behind the curtain there, wherever he is.
The Guy Ritchie experience is a unique one.
Most mornings we'd sit down and go, right, so what's the scene today?
And you say this, you say that, and then we'll do this thing.
Alex, about 2 days in, Alex made us a group chat called Scriptless Heroes.
We haven't actually been in it for a while, have we?
Once we finish the movie, we just don't
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
Hero would have said, sort of, how about I say this line? And the guy's like, no. And there's no punches pulled. You are ridiculed if you say it. Later on, that same line will come in. The guy's done something to it, or he's moved it around to a different place. And so you don't really know how much is whose idea and where it came from.
Prop department and stuff are being called on. Like, you had a great line last time.
Keep in mind, it's pretty much the same crew that he's had since Lock, Stock or Snatch.
Once he works with you and likes you, you're in the family. You kind of don't get out because you're going to actually work with him again.
This guy is.
Henry was like, I got a job? Wait a second.
Oh, what was the word? Like, you're never going to forget the word entropy. When I'm talking to him in the room and I say, for the relentless how of jungle entropy. The relentless, I just found that hilarious. He came up with that idea. And I was like, what does that even mean? He's like, the relentless how of jungle entropy? Entropy is such a funny word. And that's Guy, and it's at his whole, he loves vocabulary and language. So it's easy to keep lines in your head because they're so specific. There's no... Oh, what was the word? Like, you're never going to forget the word entropy, let me tell you. Never going to forget that one.
If you are acting like a knob, he'll tell you you're being a knob. Guy is really good at creating an environment where creativity feels safe. He gives everyone their room to shine as well. Without sounding corny, because people always say this, they say it feels like family. It really does, because he's been working with a lot of those guys since his earliest movies on the crew. And it's not too straight-laced. There's a casual aspect to the whole thing where if you are acting like a knob, he'll tell you you're being a knob. If you come up with terrible ideas, you will be made fun of by him and everyone else. The crew are coming up with ideas, but if you come up with great ideas, he'll either steal them and make them his ideas, or he will praise you and it will become a great thing, and it's all fun. And that's what movie making, in my opinion, should be like. And there's a real freedom of language and creativity on set, and so that's what it felt like for me.
It's unique. I mean, it definitely feels like, oh, I'm on a Guy Ritchie job.
He likes steak.
He likes steak.
Chopping it with big knives.
Cigars. Lots of manly things.
Lots of manly.
Vinnie Jones was
wrestling.
there. That was like, right, we're definitely on a Guy Ritchie set because Vinnie Jones is here. There was a day that threw me. We were in the big table at Holstead Manor.
Yes.
And Guy kind of completely rewrote what I needed to say, but in the moment, and there was some like very syllable-y words, some long, chunky, chewy words to say that, and I kind of just had to almost sort of zone out, hear him say it, process it, act it, make it feel real, do it in the Guy Ritchie rhythm. And I had a stiff neck that day. Do you remember? I couldn't turn my head.
Yeah, why was that? Car crash?
Because I had the car thing, yeah. So yeah, that was the day that I was like, all right, let's focus down. But I watched it back and it works. It always works when you watch it back. Like, he knows what he's doing.
You are Irish yourself. How easy was it to slip back into the Irish accent for this? Well, I mean, this when I read this, Guy Ritchie sent me 5 episodes there last summer, and it's North London, South London, but an Irish family, and I thought I was going to do an English accent, and he said, listen, don't worry about it, we'll just sort it out on the day. 15 minutes on the day, put it out of your mind. Then I got to the set, day 1, it's Tom Hardy and myself, and he just said, go Irish, go more Irish. And I can't even remember what my Irish accent sounds like, really.
You almost just slipped back into it just a minute ago. You just almost slipped in.
It's always there in the background, but it's not that strong anymore.
Not that strong. So basically, I 15 minutes, I called my dear friend Brendan Gunn, who's a dialect coach, and I said, I need an accent. I need a Kerry accent. So I got a Kerry accent, and it all came together in 15 minutes. So what you hear and what you see happened in that space of time.
What do you think is Guy Ritchie's greatest strength as a director?
I think it's his ability to act on his toes and in the moment, and I feel like before you get there on the day and the cameras are rolling, you can have an idea of what the scene wants. So I'd say his ability to mold and shape in the moment, because he's got the confidence to change everything if he needs to, and it always makes it better. I've always been a huge Guy Ritchie fan. I love all of his movies. So really see how he works firsthand, I'm even more impressed. I mean, he's one of my favourite directors. When your agents say, what kind of directors do you want to work with? I would, cut them off and say Guy Ritchie. He's been top of my list. Absolute dream come true. I've peaked, man. I'm gonna, I don't know what I do after this. This is it.
He's got a massive reach. When he's on the money, he's really special and good fun. So I think he's in his wheelhouse in this aspect, going back to gangsters and the crime genre. I've been a fan of his since Lock, Stock and Snatch, and obviously I did Rock and Roll with him, and I enjoyed the movie The Gentleman as well, and I think that Guy Ritchie is definitely a no-brainer to get immersed with when it comes to doing sort of gangster show.
Is there anything more you can tell me about what's so fun about these sets?
He sets the tone on set. Guy's a big personality in his own way, and he sets the tone on set. And you work with a lot of directors who don't seem to have that presence, and that's fine, we get the job done, but Guy's got a presence.
He's a lad, he's a legend in his own lifetime. He's created this vocabulary of cinematic storytelling, which is all his own, and he's a very bright man, very erudite and fearless.
It's like being down the pub every day, a little bit, in the best ways. There's this banter flowing on set all the time, and like Pierce says, he really does have this unique vocabulary, Guy Ritchie. He comes out with these one-liners to chuck into a scene, which is so much fun.
Unique, definitely. I think I'd sort of asked around, and I was told it's kind of an experience that you have to just go into and know that it will be completely different to any other job you've worked on, and no one could really explain what was different about it. I think you kind of just had to experience it. It's different. He changes everything at the last minute, and he kind of has a very clear vision of what he wants it to be when he knows when it's there. When you say the right thing, he's like, great, that's what it is. But it's quite a bit of a journey to find that. And that's actually quite interesting, I found. It was intimidating at first, and 101 for an actor is learn your lines, be prepared. Yeah. And this was don't learn your lines, because it's going to be different. And if you learn them, that's actually more confusing. Wow. But I found it quite exciting and a new way of working. And it was a new muscle to flex.
Guy is great in the moment. But you ask Guy to work on anything or talk about what we want for dinner tonight, and it may be 6 o'clock. That's too far in the future. That son of a gun. He wrote the script, and I go in, and my character has great monologues and great things to say, and it takes a lot of work to work on those things and work and understand them. I'd show up on the day, and he'd be over there listening, and all of a sudden he'd be like, "Oh God, what'd you say? Oh, geez, what was that line there? Oh God, that's rubbish. Who wrote that?" Well, you did. It's like, "Oh God, that's shit." You know what? And he starts spitting out different lines, and he's rewriting on the day, right before you're supposed to do the scene. Not the morning of, and definitely not on a Sunday before the week. I'd ask him to meet me on Sunday to go over the script. He stood me up every time. Every time. But you get on set, and now he's in it. And the stuff he comes up with live, where I went from frustration to oh, because 95% of the stuff he comes up with live is better than what was there.
Vinny, how was it re-teaming with Guy on this project? How did this project compare to the previous ones you've worked on?
Well, I think, with all Guy and myself, I've come a long, long way since the Lock, Stock and Snatch days. So, yeah, it was, you know, I think he was warmed that I was on the set, and I was warmed that he was, you know, that we were reunited. You know, I'd reunited with Matthew Vaughan, you know, a few years ago on The Kingsman and that. So, you know, it was just wonderful to, you know, it's like your brother's directing it and you're in a movie. That's kind of how it is. It's, you know, that's really the best way to describe it. You know, I'm working in, my younger brother's movie. You're going to do your best, but yeah, I felt that I think it was a big deal to everybody, especially, you know, especially the cast. They're like, you know, asking me all the questions. How is he? Should I do this? Should I do that? And I'm like, relax, mate. Just chill out. Don't worry about it.
Have a jammy, Georgia.
Well, yeah, and you know, I'd have for them 2 weeks. I'd go and have breakfast with him most mornings. So I was in his trailer more than I was in mine. You know, we were just hanging out, just like the old days, really. You know.
Do you ever think about like that first time you met him, and because it really quite changed your life, didn't it?
Changed all our lives.
It was quite an enjoyable experience. The best part of it was Guy screaming, look into the sun and keep your eyes open at the same time. So, yeah, no, that was great fun. Actually, in fact, we elongated that sequence. You know, that sequence of the journey was just sort of written as an idea in the script to begin with, and then as we started shooting, Guy just kept shooting sequences. So the end of the day it kind of became a joke. It was when we finished the day, I got on the cart and got thrown rocks in my face for a good hour and a half, you know. We finished almost every day that way.
Yes.
You know.
I think he's used Henry on the last. I think he's used Henry Cable 3 or 4 times. Gyllenhaal, you know, and these names want to work with him because he's an extremely good filmmaker, and he's sharp. He's a bit of a savant. He's interesting. You know, we had. I mean, the filming process on Operation Fortune was terrific. I loved it because it was improvisation, and I'm a musician and I was a jazz musician, so I felt at home with that. But the actual time off the set, the trailer time, was as powerful. The chats were as wonderful, you know, and so someone said earlier in an interview, what makes him a good director? And I'll say this again, it's you want him to like the work you've just done on a take, and I think that is a sign of a good director.
He has a C quota, which is quite funny. Because you think that it's kind of just peppered everywhere, but you know you end up...
the C word.
Yeah,
okay.
So you'd say it and be like, no, we get one every episode, no more.
You know that word for like I know it's a foul word in England, but here it's like 15 times worse. It's like something you guys call your friends.
It
is.
It really
we don't call our friends that.
Yeah. We're constantly reminded of things that divide us, while the truth is much more unite us. And to be able to show that in this unlikely bond, unlikely friendship between these two men in a setting which is first and foremost entertaining, full of action, and keeps you at the edge of your seat, I think is the best way to portray that kind of friendship and brotherhood, and hopefully shed a light on an important message at the same time.
I wanted to play somebody that was more sort of a thinking man's criminal in many aspects, who can do all the violence and the intimidation stuff, but is more considered and is looking at strategic ways of playing chess within his world as well.